I guess, I guess, I guess. Hope you guys are doing well. Amazing. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. We have Nikita Mazepin. What do F1 drivers think about him? You guys know currently racing for Haas. You can say one of like the worst teams, in F1. Look, if you want to say that, let's go ahead. If you want to say that, go ahead. Teammate of young Schumacher. We have heard about him. I think somebody has mentioned like before why he's hated, but I don't think we've actually really watched, or I don't think I really understand why he was being hated. Hopefully he can pull a Sebastian Vettel and go from a good guy, from people hating, to actually a good guy people like. But I think with that, it has to come with winning, being good. We seen what Seb, all the stuff he was doing, clean up the trash after races, whatever, the LGBTQ, and all that. So maybe, maybe Mazepin can be a good guy in the future. But as of right now, people can't stand him. Probably a piece of shit. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into the video, man. But before the video starts, don't forget to like the video and sub as well. Turn your notifications on as well. Turn your noties on as well. Let's get started.
One of the three rookies to make his debut this season, Nikita Mazepin, or Mazepin as he's more commonly known, has earned quite a reputation for himself in such a short span of time. While he's not a terrible driver, Mazepin has faced severe flack for his performance, or rather lack of performance on track, as well as for his actions outside of racing. His status as a paid driver has made many question if he deserves to be in Formula 1 due to his father's sponsorship, despite having done well by himself in Formula 2.
God dang.
Besides, the Russian is not only the driver on the grid at the moment who has benefited from his father's fortunes. Of course, we're looking at you, Lance Stroll and Nicholas Latifi. So why is Mazepin in particular so disliked by the F1 community? To answer that, let's take a look at what Formula 1 drivers think of Nikita Mazepin. The son of a Russian oligarch, Nikita Mazepin did not directly make his way into the highest form of racing without any merit. Before he could race in F1, Mazepin was a Russian karting champion and had participated in plenty of FIA-sanctioned karting series, finishing second behind Lando Norris in the 2014 CIK FIA Karting Championship. He later took part in the GP3 series, finishing second, the Asian F3 Championship finishing third, and finally raced in Formula 2 series where he would finish fifth in the drivers' standings. Ultimately, he got the opportunity to drive for the Haas team alongside Mick Schumacher in the 2021.
So it seems like he has so like we've seen, like I said, with past drivers we have seen, a lot of these F1 drivers have some good success early on in their career. It just doesn't always continue when you make it to top stuff like that. Well, not like, I'm not saying they're shit, but they you would kind of think they should be better than what they are. But at the same time, they're going against the Lewis Hamiltons and the Max Verstappens of the world. It's tough. It's tough.
Season. So, without wasting any more time, let's jump right in with our first entry on this list. Nicholas Chiesa, a former F1 driver who was part of the Minardi and Jordan racing teams back in the early 2000s, spoke about Mazepin's doings, saying, "Mazepin disrespects the agreements made between drivers, especially in qualifying. When it comes to your behavior and conduct on the track, it makes a difference to know that whatever you do, Dad is always going to keep paying."
Damn.
Chiesa is known for partnering Jos Verstappen at Minardi, but had a short-lived stint in F1.
He basically called him, listen, you could be sorry as shit, but guess what? Your dad's always gonna come with the money. It's facts though.
Being a part of only 5 Grand Prix, fewer than Mazepin in fact. The Danish driver had some more thoughts to share about Mazepin's attitude, quoting, "You definitely can't have that mentality when you come from Scandinavian countries. We have to behave properly and not do too much on our own initiative until we've earned enough money to be able to say, okay, I'm good enough." Chiesa clearly believes that Mazepin does not take his position seriously, since it's given that he will retain his seat no matter how badly he does, only because of his father's financial support. Mika Salo. The Finnish driver was active throughout the 1990s, having driven for teams like Lotus, Tyrrell, Ferrari and Sauber. His most notable performance would be during the 1999 season, where he stood in for Michael Schumacher, who at the time was recovering from a debilitating injury. Talking about how Mazepin has done so far, Salo, who at first was critical of the Haas driver, later changed his opinion about him, stating, "At the time we didn't know their car was going that bad, it's just a terrible car. Nikita has learned a lot since then and is now riding very well. Everything is much better than in the first race." Salo also commented about why he thought Mazepin and his teammate Mick Schumacher frequently collided despite being far behind, mentioning, "It's not normal, but when your car doesn't work very well, the only one you can fight with is your teammate. They're almost 3 seconds slower than all the others, so it's quite logical that they're almost always next to each other on the track. Nikita is now almost matching Mick in terms of speed. That is why they're constantly facing each other." Ralf Schumacher, brother of the racing.
So, golly, so the Schumachers, Mick, you know what I mean? Michael, Ralph, the whole family was just drivers. You know what I mean? But it seemed like Salo was a bit, you know what I mean, compassionate about it. Like, car sucks. You know what I mean? Like, the car sucks. There's only so much you can do. And, you know, when you and your teammate both driving bad cars, y'all both gonna be battling for, you know, P19, P20 all race. Y'all both gonna be battling for them two spots all race damn near.
Legend Michael Schumacher and a highly accomplished racing driver himself.
That must suck though, you know what I mean? Like, that must suck. Like, instead of you like battling other drivers, stuff like that, you're constantly battling your teammate possibly. You know what I mean? Like, y'all should be trying to get to, you know, top 10, whatever. But instead, both y'all battling each other just to gain, you know, just to at least try to get some points. That's tough. That's tough. And yeah, you probably will get tired of constantly seeing your teammate. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to constantly have to battle with you every race. Like, we should be, you know, trying to battle the McLarens, the Alpines, you know, the Toro Rosso, stuff like that. Holy shit.
Ralf Schumacher has been quite vocal about Mazepin's abilities as a driver. Ralph's nephew Mick is Nikita's teammate at Haas and has often suffered on track due to his teammates' mistakes. Voicing his opinions on the young Russian, Ralf said, "If you look at the Russian's performance, this cannot be a reason in relation to Mick. In addition, the sympathy and marketing effect with Mick is better, and Nikita isn't anywhere near Mick.
Of course,
anyway."
Ralf would say
Ralf
that.
has been
That's
quite
his nephew.
harsh towards Mazepin,
Of course.
at one point even wishing for the driver to exit the sport at the earliest, saying, "Exclusion of Nikita during the current season is not an alternative because Mazepin brings a lot of money to the team. In my opinion, financial interest can be the only reason why the team boss keeps standing."
That's just my opinion, though. That's just my opinion. Of course, Ralph will, you know, defend Mick. You know what I mean? Like, that's family. You know what I mean? That's just me, though. I could be wrong. That's just me.
In front of Nikita. Nikita, however, has remained unfazed by the elder Schumacher's taunts and hit back at the ex-F1 driver, expressing, "It's not right for current and former racing drivers to put themselves above the commissioners and say what should have been done. They don't have any rights. At the same time, I respect the rules very much." Jolyon Palmer. F1 driver turned commentator cum analyst, Jolyon Palmer is widely popular for his breakdown of racing incidents as well as his views about the various ongoings during most race weekends.
Jolyon Palmer.
At the season opener in Bahrain, Palmer was among the first to criticize Mazepin, announcing, "Oh dear, oh no. So Mazepin has broken the gentleman's code of basically wait your turn and everyone gets a lap. He's gone past all the champions into the final corner and then he's got down to that first corner and spun. Way to make yourself public enemy number one on your debut." A few months down the line, Palmer has started to sympathise with Mazepin, unlike many other critics out there. Commenting on a radio broadcast of Toto Wolff's complaints about Nikita, Palmer said, "We know the narrative against Mazepin comes in with huge backing. He's not the most popular driver and is not doing well. We all know Nikita has made the bad boy a while back, so for sure F1 always broadcasts the comments about him, because people like to listen to it. If they broadcast nice and sweet things said about other people, then nobody would care. So I think it's a little bit attention grabbing from their side, but we're part of the racing show business, so it's part of it." Timo Glock. The German driver drove in F1 all the way from 2008 until the 2013 season for Toyota, Virgin Racing and Marussia. Glock, though, is truly remembered for helping Hamilton win the 2008 season finale by letting the championship contender pass him on the final lap and win by a single point. Recently, Glock spoke about Nikita Mazepin and his behavior on track.
y'all would probably know, but why did he do that? But like I said, y'all would probably know. Of course, y'all know more than me about like why he did that. But like, is it just passing the torch, I guess, or that's I mean I'm not gonna say it's kind of weird, but like, why would you just let somebody just pass you at the end of the race to win it? Like I said, if it's like some some sentimental passing the torch, sure, go ahead, but like,
with teammate Mick during the Dutch GP at Zandvoort. The problem is, at the moment, they don't take action against Mazepin until it's too late. You're too late if someone hits him and flies into the air. If that happens at the wrong time, like in Zandvoort, then Mick flies into the pit wall. I would take action in a timely manner, and if he still doesn't understand it, then give him a race suspension, said Glock about what he felt should have been to deal with Mazepin. He further went on to elaborate on the 22-year-old's mistakes, revealing, "A lot of things come together with him. It seems as if he's overwhelmed. Blue flags, reading situations, many things that he misjudges. The error rate speaks for itself." Jenson Button, now a racing pundit, the 2009 world champion, has spent most of his time outside of the sport as a commentator for Sky TV. Talking about how Mazepin has driven in various races, Button seemed quite incensed and had some strong words for the rookie, declaring, "It was a little bit too aggressive from Mazepin. It doesn't matter what happened in qualifying, and it shouldn't affect the way you drive in the race. And if it does, you're in the wrong sport, because this is a dangerous sport." He also added a few words of advice for the Russian driver, who has been on the receiving end of a lot of fault finding by other drivers, mentioning, "A team makes mistakes. We all make mistakes, even your teammate. But it's about how you react to these mistakes. That makes you the person and the racing driver that you are. You just have to talk something out, discuss the problems, and then you come to the track the next day, and it should be a new day looking ahead." Right. Lastly, Button gave his judgments about Nikita, saying, "If he wants to have a long career in Formula 1, then he has to change his mind. He's way too aggressive. He can do it. Do not react to such a situation." It's common knowledge at this point that the Haas team's cars are widely uncompetitive. Yet Mazepin has braved through a lot of hate, unlike his teammate Mick, even before he could make his F1 debut. This is primarily due to a groping incident that went viral on social media, as well as prior altercations during his F3 campaign. Moreover, his ability to spin in nearly every race does him no favours. Things do seem to be getting better for Mazepin, however, as he slowly started to improve on track and even showed his softer side while breaking down after a poor performance in Brazil. These days, he does seem to have turned a new leaf, and he might just be on his way to redeem himself and prove his critics wrong. Let us know what are your thoughts about Nikita Mazepin, and if you like this video, then hit the thumbs.
Shout out pit stop, but it's just, I think the main thing I caught from him is just that he does have some issues like driving, stuff like that. A bit aggressive, legitimate code, stuff like that. He's like, I guess you could say he's like a raw talent in F1, you could say, because there's old dude talking about he wants him gone. Like, old dude talking about he needs a race suspension or kick him out of F1. Relax. But I mean, I guess when your dad has that much money, whatever, shit, you know what I mean? But we will see. We will see how he does perform this upcoming season. We'll be keeping track of it. You guys don't get like us up. Comment up below your thoughts and reactions. See you guys later.